How long has it been that you guys are in quarantine now?
4 weeks.
Four
Yeah, a
weeks.
month. Yeah, another month. Because I think yesterday the president did a statement about another month of quarantine.
We're coming from Brazil, from São Paulo,
Yeah.
but the show get cancelled, so we came back to Paris like a little bit earlier.
So yeah, everything went pretty fast. So basically that COVID-19 thing was something like far away. We were in Latin America, so we felt pretty safe about it because the show we did before that was in Australia, so it wasn't that affected neither. In a matter of like 2 days, everything got canceled. Like when you get your own show canceled, you're like, oh, okay, so the reach of this thing is much bigger than we expected.
Yeah.
So everything went super fast. We were supposed to stay maybe 2 weeks more in São Paulo. So we had to change the tickets. So we decided to go back to Paris in this studio. In case of total quarantine, we'll be at least able to do some of the stuff we could do, like in a studio. Basically.
Yeah. So what have you guys been doing since you started the quarantine?
The first day we edit the video because we just did like a new installation when we are in Brazil. Yeah, it was like a huge installation with column of lights, so on each side and in a big architecture. Then we realized we have like so much video to edit as well because it was like non-stop for 7 years. So we're still processing like the past years.
Yeah, it's interesting because first we're super annoyed about everything, like all our plans being canceled. It's not just going to one place and do the piece and just walk away. It's basically like a month of preparation before. So we're first a little bit annoyed by that, but then we realized we never like really sit back. Even like for a month, we've been touring nonstop, producing nonstop, and we've been stockpiling footages. We had no time to edit because we also the ones that shoot and edit our videos. You can imagine like we have so many hard disks with a lot of footage, but usually we create one edit, which is the official footage. But then we have like so much more potential to create other content, but we never do because we basically working on all the installations. So it was an opportunity for us to digest what we've been doing for nearly 7 years. A really important moment for us to take distance about our work and kind of understand also what other decisions we've been taking through intense touring schedule and really project what you could do in the future and what you should do or what, understand yourself better as an artist as well. It's the first time we kind of have, comfort in how we think also, so it's a really different approach. Because when on tour, we don't have any comfort. Everything is so fast. We've been like really used to think in that context. And now we have more time, we have more comfort because we're at the studio where everything is. It's a different approach and it's really interesting.
And have you, how does that process work for you? Because one of the things I've been wondering a lot is for people that are kind of forced to be in their studio or, at home working, is like, is there an interesting opportunity, in this time? And I think what you're saying is like that, like it's almost like you have for the first time, you have a chance to integrate all these, like when you travel a lot, you usually need time to process, right? Because you're moving around and you're meeting all these people and all that stuff. And I've been wondering, for people that are in that kind of crazy schedule, how it feels to like be quiet for a little bit, and if it brings new ideas or if it's just frustrating or like, what's the opportunity, about this time?
Yeah, I think after processing and kind of clean our mind about the previous project, then maybe try some things new or something that we didn't do because we didn't have time to develop because we were more like on site.
That question concerns our studio, but I think it's bigger than that because I think every artist that use any kind of medium is questioning the position as artists within society too. France is going to be quarantined till like May. I feel like events not going to happen till July or August. That's the way it is. What if event never happens again? Is there still a way for us to express ourselves? to continue what we love doing. And because most of our work consists of bringing experience to people, how can we bring experience to people without doing like live streams? How can we keep integrity and still express ourselves within that context? And I don't have an answer right now, but it's really interesting to be able to think that way as well.
I think you're right. I think it's definitely the question that so many people are asking themselves, how to continue to do stuff that is spatial or event related or involves other people, and how do you keep doing that online if that's the only way to do it, but in a way that makes sense and that doesn't just feel like a pale copy or something like that, you know?
Yeah, how you can basically affect people's emotion in an era of social distancing, which when you think about it, it's really crazy. It still feels like it's not completely real, you know, like it just like we post what we've been doing. It's a time for me to make more music, for Noemi to be able to work on screen. Because we work with space, we always been rejecting the idea of working with like a screen. Always wanted to go with that concept of going out of the screen. And I'm sure there are a lot of things we could still like develop. It's a good opportunity for us to work on stuff like this. Also talk with people who've been planning to do stuff with us, make it happen still.
Yeah. So I'm curious, like how that dynamic works for you guys in terms of the sort of performance versus installation. Is it just that there's an idea for a performance that comes, or what drives it? Is it the music first or the concepts first, or how do you develop these ideas in terms of like branching them between installation or performance, and how does the sort of logic of that process work?
For performance, I think it's the setup. So when we start the performance, we really wanted to play with our silhouettes. So the setup give like kind of stage design, and then the music is really important as well. Yeah, it's longer as well in terms of shows and an installation. It's time maybe to create a new one. We were talking about doing a new performance, so it's like perfect timing because we're at the studio. So
it just accept that we have more time. The reason why we started doing performance first, when we were looking at people watching our installation, we really liked the silhouettes and the way the installation took another dimension when you could see the human body scale. We just felt that performance was the right medium to do it, and we didn't need to control audience, and because we were the one performing. The second reason is that I've been playing guitar in a rock band for like 5 years, and I've been touring. And when Nonotak started to become a full-time thing, I basically stopped doing live shows, and I really missed that feeling of going on stage, also that adrenaline before going on stage.
I always imagine that Noemi is doing the visuals and you're doing the audio, right? Is that the way that you guys do it, or you both work on both?
For the performance, we separate,
Yeah.
But yeah.
But when it comes to installation, I will exclusively do the sound, although Noemi participated a lot on the direction of the sound, which is also part of making the sound too. In terms of light effects and visual, we usually share the work. And because most of our projects they're dictated by the spatial context of the installation itself. The most important moment is basically when we decide on the concept, on the setup of the installation, and then once we decided on that, everything seems really obvious to us. Like we feel super connected on how we're gonna develop the narrative of an installation once we decided that.
I think that is really important for us is to keep like a style and to keep like a line and an aesthetic, and we like to experiment on different materials, different setups, and when we do like a series, it's also because it's really minimalistic, a changement of the direction change the setup of the installation, and because it's about materialities and light as well, when you place it like a different place, like in front or on the ground or on the ceiling, it affects a lot the contact as well.
You know, it's kind of hard to accept that there's only one version. You know, when a lot of our ideas work with how we can disrupt space, how we can create experience within a space that people are familiar with. Giving them like different version of it is also giving the piece, the idea, an opportunity to exist in different places, and also our way to work on all those series of like installation and more purpose in a way. Also, I think we have hard time accepting that one piece is finished. If you wanted to finish a piece, I think it will take a lifetime to finish it, and it will still be like frustrated about it.
Yeah, for sure, the light, yeah, as you say, without light we cannot be able to see as well. So the light have like such a direct impact of the on the vision. And I think, yeah.
I think in an unconscious way, we all have a spiritual relationship to light, what light represents to us. But most of the time, I think, like we live within space that are designed, and like one quality of like a space is usually dictated also by the amount of light, how the light is. And while I was studying architecture, I was taught that light was creating, like the positive space, and the darkness was creating the negative. And when you look at a project, you always try to analyze what are the negative and what are the positive spaces. And I think I always had also this relationship to light through my studies. I think it's something that surrounded so much that when you change it, when you change the way it works, then I think your brain is instantly disrupted by what it's seeing. And I think it's a really effective medium to express ideas.
You mean that we're sort of so used to seeing, we're used to seeing light used in a certain way, and then you see it used in a different way, and it just triggers a response in your mind.
Also the power of using light and site-specific installation, because what happens in site-specific installation is that usually the visitors are the locals who knows the space. So they're familiar to one state of a space with one particular state of light. And then if you come with an art piece with artists like us that like to disrupt the space with light and create experiences, then I think they will feel it much more than someone who never saw the space before.
It's almost like you're changing the architecture in some way.
Yeah, or like reshaping it.
Yeah. Yeah, in the the installation you did at Electric Castle, it really felt like you were reversing the floor and the ceiling in this weird way, because those lights that you used are typical sort of corporate office lights that normally you see in the ceiling. But in that environment with these arches, it was like some weird mix of corporate lighting on the floor with the arches. It was like all these different images of architecture and light that are kind of merging together. It was really, really powerful.
We wanted to create a site-specific installation that totally keeps the space like volume.
You mean without touching, without adding too many elements in the space?
Yeah, keeping the volume of the space intact.
Yeah, that space is a pretty great environment for light to play with the arches and the columns and the bricks. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.